One of the ironies of being a chief executive is that you don't really do much. You're a figurehead, you're a leader, you give vision, you give some of the details, but you don't actually do so many things because when you're doing all that stuff, you really mess things up. You say a lot of things, but you don't really say all the things because people need to kind of get the work done. Michael Dell in the 90s working customer service did not move any needles and make the stock price go up. It was a customer service stunt. It was something to show that he was relatable, something to make him look like a regular dude in the company. But in actuality, he sat at the top. He stopped making computers many, many years ago, and he looks over spreadsheets and looks over how things are going and makes sure the people he has in charge of people do things. Donald Trump hadn't figured it out yet in 2 terms of president, and he's signing things like he actually has the power to do some things. Executive orders are suggestions that you want things to happen, but doesn't make things magically happen. Take today, the 31st of August, going into Labor Day, going into a weekend where he apparently played golf and did some other things on the day. Trump got busy, got real busy, and he declared on this day that he will sign an executive order requiring voter ID for every ballot in existence. No exceptions. All ballots will have voter ID. Also, the actual point to this one that he wanted to push was only seriously ill people or overseas military can use mail-in voting, insisting that paper ballots only aim to eliminate the electronic machines. Essentially going back to, hanging chads, punch things, or just scribbling things on paper. Because Trump wants to make things great again, better again, back to the future and live in the 1800s, apparently. Now, constitutional leaders are basically saying it's a stretch, it's a reach. Election rules are mostly due to the states themselves and to the Congress kind of overseeing them. Legal experts warn that presidential order like this may actually exceed authority, i.e. he can't actually do this. And previous similar orders he's given requiring proof of citizenship also struck down recently by the federal judge this year. So some things he sort of said that were part of his big, beautiful plans, not so much a big, beautiful bill, which is a whole other thing, haven't quite come to fruition because he literally can't do them. Trump is framing this as defending election integrity. He continues to claim that he won the election in 2020, but it was due to lots and lots of fraud. There is no fraud. There's no proof. There's no suggestion. There's no even hint of fraud. He lost in 2020, period. The assertions have been debunked by experts and investigators, but there's still people who are singing those praises because without those praises to sing to Donald Trump, since he's in charge again, they'd have no power. They'd be regular people living regular lives and not the people running amok in the government right now. 36 states are to require some form of voter ID, which I actually don't have a problem with. It's this really big swipe of a pen that Donald Trump has that's making it a big problem because there are some issues with voter ID. Insisting everyone has a voter ID means you have to insist that people have a way to get ID if they don't. If you have an older person in your household that basically just shows up for doctor's appointments, doesn't drive, doesn't do anything in particular, they just live off the land and don't do very much, they don't need a driver's license. So why get a driver's license? They might not need a state ID because they don't travel, don't fly, don't do anything. So why get one? Getting one specifically for voting is possible, and they do that in these places to make these things work. But it's also a pain in the butt, which is how it seems a whole lot like voter ID laws are essentially trying to disenfranchise people who'd vote just based off ID because they might vote, they might be fraud, someone might vote in their place. There's no actual evidence supporting massive voter fraud that means anything going forward. In most cases, when it's done in efforts to help Republicans. That being said, supporters say that voter ID builds public trust, even though the studies show that voter fraud is rare. ID laws haven't actually increased any confidence in anything so far ever because Trump still says voter fraud and people just believe it without any proof. Strict voter ID could block many voters, as I said, low-income people, minorities, students, seniors, disabled veterans, folks that don't need an ID to go anyplace would not have one. Or people like students, for example. I work at a college. If you're an out-of-state student and you don't have the right ID, you can't vote. So if you get the right ID, it lets you vote. But are you voting in the right place? It goes from there. There's also proof of citizenship, which have already proven to disenfranchise tens of millions of people. Because if you're a citizen, you can vote. But if you don't have the proper proof, they'll push you away at the actual polls. Now, the idea of voter ID is supposed to boost integrity for messaging going forward, with the portions of states already using voter ID as the actual poster children for this one. The optics of making it tougher, it makes it look like you're tightening on security, But in actuality, it's overstepping your constitutional rights or our constitutional rights and the constitutional values of the president. You don't have the right to do that. And disenfranchise people who don't have a reason to not vote or to vote irregularly. And pretty much there is no history or harm in voter fraud. It just doesn't exist. So that's what's going on right now. I don't think he voted for it or he signed it today, but it's in the docket to be signed. His next batch of things. He's played golf on his 3-day weekend, so give him that. But Donald Trump signing more executive orders, not even a full year into his term, and doing everything he can to literally change the way America works. Not that America was perfect, but it wasn't this bad that everything was terrible. Your comments, let me know.